Welcome to the Florida Golf Experience Podcast. Here in Sarasota, Florida, when you have a weekend warrior like myself and a local pro like Christian Martin has the opportunity to talk to professional golfers and industry experts to help us figure out this wonderful game. With tips, tricks, stories, we'll all come together to find the best way to approach this game on our next outing. Joining us right now is our three-time University of Florida All-American, runner-up in the 2005 Masters, and along with 8 professional tour wins, Chris DiMarco. I guess with it being Masters Week, I mean, you've probably never been asked about the 2005 Masters before.
Never been asked, exactly.
You want to give us a little idea how that life was?
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously a very good time in my life as far as golf game wise. I just lost at the PGA in 2004 to VJ and Justin Leonard. Justin Leonard and I were in a playoff with him. So obviously being on the big stage, I was feeling more and more comfortable. I played with Phil the year before when he won, watched him make that putt to get the monkey off his back. And, I went into 05 obviously with a lot of confidence, and I love the golf course. It always set up good for me. And, I played great right out of the gate. And, going into that last round, there was a lot of weather that week, so I had to come back the morning of, and the course was in a little bit different conditions. We didn't really play with too much dew. We played early because we wanted to finish so we could get to the regular tee times on Sunday, and really didn't hit a bad shot and shot 41 in that front 9, which was kind of crazy, and went into the last round being 3 back to Tiger. Obviously battled him as much as I could and got even with him and obviously lost in the playoff. But, there were some ups and downs throughout the round for sure. But, that was a good time for me just because it's one of the few times in my life where I've ever been in that much control of my game.
Yeah, you had a great quote there. You didn't, lose. Tiger won because you gave it your all there, and it just didn't go in your cards that day.
Yeah, totally. That's what you can kind of put your head on the pillow at the end of the night, and there's not something you can go back and go, man, I missed that 6-footer in the last hole, or else I would have had a chance to win the Augusta. I made the putt to get into a playoff, so I just got beat that day by probably arguably the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, it's a different animal when you get beat versus when you lose. And you did all you could do. I remember sitting there watching that. I'm glued to the TV every time there's a major tournament going on,
Yeah, I am too. I love it. I love watching it.
Yeah. And that chip shot, of course, he hit on 16, the slow motion Nike commercial. Yeah, exactly. They couldn't have put a better ad together if they tried.
Still looking for residual from that. Never saw any of it.
Yeah, you're owed something.
Yeah, no doubt. So, tell me a little bit about, when you guys are playing in practice rounds and stuff, is there, who was the biggest smack talker out there? Who was kind of jousting a little bit more than anybody? Who was the Larry Bird of golf out there?
Probably Phil. Mickelson was always one that liked to have the action and liked to play. I always used to have a really good putt match with Ryuji Yamada. We always would do that on a Wednesday. We'd putt for hours and just play $100 one downs. And, really not much money was spent, but it was so good for your game to just, putt on those greens 3 hours, because there's really no way to, simulate pressure and what it matters. But when you're, playing for your own money, it kind of at least gives you that feeling of it. So for me, I tried to simulate as much as I could, as the later I got, you play more when you play the Pro-Ams on Wednesday, you have the luxury of flying in Tuesday night, playing the Pro-Am. That's pretty much your practice round. So other than the majors, there really wasn't really too many practice rounds being played just because we all knew the courses by then. And, getting to play in the Pro-Am the Wednesday before was probably the best scenario because it was closest to when how the course is going to play during the week.
For sure.
Excellent. So, not to get off topic because I'll come back to some golf stuff, but how are you feeling about the Florida Gators this week? Basketball.
I think the committee got it right by naming those 4 teams number 1 seeds because they all made it through. Obviously we've had some close games. The UConn game was really close. The Texas Tech game, I almost turned it off with 3 minutes and 30 seconds ago, and thankfully I stayed on. Yeah, I mean, I've been telling everybody I try not to get too overconfident because, the other three teams up there are well deserving of being number one seeds also. But we're really big and we're really deep. And Todd Golden's got all the guys committed to, what his plan is. And man, that Walton Clayton Jr.,
Yeah.
he's got some ice in his veins for sure. And whenever you got that guy on your team, you feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, this is a great time of year for sports.
Well, they're definitely capable of winning it all. I mean, they've got the size, like you said. I mean, they got some big, large men on that team, and they can play, man. It's going to be interesting.
It's going to be fun. Yeah, Saturday at 6:09. I'll be in front of the TV for sure.
Now, do you go up to the Masters, or you're going to hang home watch it on TV?
I am. I'm going to go up there for one of my sponsors, Stanley Black & Decker. I'm going to go up there on Friday, do a dinner Friday night, play some golf on Saturday, do a dinner Saturday night. And then I usually walk the course on Sunday for a couple hours with some of the clients and show them some of the idiosyncrasies about Augusta. And then I head up and go do the Hootie and the Blowfish Pro-Am up in Myrtle Beach the Monday after the Masters. So
awesome.
That'll be a fun, it's a fun, quick turnaround. My son is actually trying to qualify for he pre-qualified yesterday for the Dominion tournament opposite Augusta. So I'm going to since I'm down here, I'm going to caddy for him on Monday and then fly home on Tuesday and then go back to Augusta on Friday. Yeah.
How fun is that?
How cool a guy is Darius Ruckers? He seems like one of the nicest guys ever.
Yeah, he's one of the coolest. And he loves golf. He really does. And they do a lot for it. I mean, they have the tournament in South Carolina that a women's and a men's tournament that they do there. So he really gives back a lot to the game and loves the game a lot. And it's a lot of fun up there at Monday after the Masters. The whole Hootie guys, they all do a great job.
Getting back to some of your personal stuff, I know you're really involved in the charity for your mother. Can you kind of explain how that all came about?
Yeah, we when we moved to Denver 6 years ago, we did it for 3 years after that. So at the 20th year anniversary, we ended up stopping it. So it's been a couple of years now, but we did it for 20 years. We raised $10 million. My mom and my dad came to me in early 2000s, me and my wife, and said, would you mind putting your name on a charity? We'd love to raise some money for cancer. And I'm like, sure, absolutely. And it became into a well-oiled machine. When we first did it, it was, it benefited Rock, which was Reach Out for Cancer Kids. So for 10 years, we put every child through the Boggy Creek program, which is a camp in Florida for cancer. We were able to put every child through that. We've given grants. We gave a $720,000 grant to the University of Florida for pancreatic cancer research.
Wow.
We've been able to do a lot of things, and it was a great run. And that was probably the most one of my favorite things ever was to raise that check and with all my family around. At the end of the day, whether it be 400,000 or 800,000 or whatever it was that year, it all varied, but it was certainly very gratifying to be able to give back for sure.
Yes, it's great. I tell you, when you're on the stage that you are, and you can do those kinds of things, you can take that fame and use it for really good things. It's really great to watch.
It was cool. It really was, and just the fact that we had everybody around us in Orlando that the same teams pretty much played almost every single every year, and so I've got some really good friends from just people coming and playing every year. So it was a great fun for sure.
Appreciate it.
How's your game these days?
It was funny. My son qualified yesterday. I told him he needs to come down and look at me, and I spent about 2 hours on the range with him yesterday. He gave me a couple changes that I didn't realize I had gotten into. I knew it was set up. I knew it wasn't anything crazy. Especially at 56 years old, it's not like my golf swing changes much. It's usually something pretty simple. So he gave me a few tips yesterday. I started hitting the ball really good. So I'm excited about this week. This is a fun event. It's, the James Hardy. You've got 26 pro football Hall of Famers in the field. I played with Terrell Davis yesterday. I get to play with Vinny Giles and Brian Kelly on Friday, tomorrow, with Glenn Day. So it'll be a lot of fun.
Sounds good. Yeah. So, when you made that putt to win the President's Cup that year, how good did that feel? Jack was the first one to greet you on the green. I mean, that had to be amazing, man.
Yeah, I always make the joke that I make that putt, and the first person was, obviously my idol in golf, Jack Nicklaus, comes down and gives me a big bear hug, no pun intended. But
That's right.
it was pretty special. I got to play for him twice as President's Cup. We got a tie one time, and then we got a win. Playing any of those Ryder Cups, even on the 2 Ryder Cups I played, we got beat pretty good. Just to be part of a team atmosphere. Golf is obviously a very individual sport, and I'm a being Italian, growing up a team sport guy, football, all that. To be part of that is pretty special, and I love the team aspect of it. I love the camaraderie behind the doors. All the wives together, and the captains and co-captains. It's just a lot of camaraderie, and for something that is so individual, 51 weeks of the year, it's nice to have that group come together.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
When you make one of those teams, obviously everything in the career is going pretty well, or you're not going to be picked or be on one of those teams. So that would have to just be the icing on the cake.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that was my goals every year. My goal was to try to get back to Kapalua every year, which means obviously you win a tournament,
Right.
and was to make whatever team we were on and make the tour championship. Those are my goals every year. If you can finish in the top 30, win a tournament, and make whatever team that was that year, it was a pretty successful year. So, I got to do that 4 times, and I got go to Kapalua 3 times. I got to go to the tour championship 7 times. So, I've got to do some of those cool things. Golf's a hard sport, and I tell people all the time that confidence is something that you can. It takes years and years and years to gain, and it could be something that it could take 2-3 weeks, a month to go all the way, and then try to regain that again is tough. So, you got to, when you do have that run where you're going really good, you got to stick with it. I look at a case in point. You look at a Max Homa, who was on top of the year, or top of his game the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, Ryder Cups, top 20s, playing all this stuff, and he makes a club change, and I'm sure that has something to do with it. And it's easy to lose that confidence, and then to try to gain that back, it's so hard. So I mean, he's one of my favorite players. I'm rooting for him. I think I love watching him play. I hope he gets it back. But it's something it's very, very, it's such a fine line, and that's why I always told my manager throughout my career. I mean, I've been a pin guy. I've been a pin guy since 1989. I said, you can get me corporate deals, you can do whatever you want, but I'm not changing my clubs, because that's
Right.
that's what I got to go into battle with, and that's something that and I've been a 14 club pin guy for 35 years.
Wow.
Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
That's right. And I mean, that's the one thing, you can be out there on the course and not feeling great, but if you know that, and if you have a whole new set of clubs and a new golf ball, I mean, everything's different, and you don't have anything to rely on.
Mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. So if you could address maybe pace of play issue on the PGA Tour, you got any advice for those guys that think, come on, man, they need to move it out a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's painful. I mean, I've always been somebody who's, kind of been against that. I mean, I've always been someone who, like when they come to us on the whatever tour, Champions Tour, back when I played the PGA Tour, and I could see the official coming, I would just point to the guy I'm playing with, because I knew it was never me. So, I mean, like, you need to go talk to him. So I think that's something that I think they need to change. Right now they go up to the group and they tell the group that you guys are behind, when they know it's one individual.
Right.
And they should go right up to that individual, and they should say, listen, you are holding up the golf course, and if you don't pick it up, we're gonna give you a shot penalty. I also said there should be a board. I mean, in the locker room that that the media can look at every week. The guys that get bad times, and I always called it the slowest shit board. And if your name was up there, people should be able to look at it, and you get your name up there a little bit enough. I mean, it's something that money's not going to change anything. Finding these guys, I mean, these guys put money away knowing they're going to have bad times, especially for the amount of money they're playing for right now. I mean, an extra 30 seconds and a $5,000 fine could be $2-3 million. So in the scheme of things, they're not looking at that. But there needs to be something. I think it needs to because the guys know how to get around it. If you want to take extra time on the putt, you can get over it and then look like something came in your way, and move a leaf, and now you get a whole nother 40 seconds. And
Right.
I mean, but it's too slow. I mean, even on our tour, I mean, 4 hours and 45 minutes for threesomes, and when half the guys are taking golf carts is ridiculous.
Wow.
It always puzzled me when you got 3 guys all shoot 68, and it takes them 4 hours 45, and you got 3 elderly ladies playing at the club shooting 110, and they do it in 3.5 hours. Like,
Yeah, walking,
it's
which is crazy. I agree. I
exactly.
mean, and and it's just it's crazy to me, and it's like I know when I walk up to my golf ball and I get my yardage, I've already known what 1 or 2 clubs it's going to be. And it just depends on the lie, and it depends on what the wind's doing, where the pin is. I mean, and I can just do all that really quickly. I don't know why guys take so long to do that. I mean, they've been playing golf their whole lives. It's like it should be pretty innate.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. Good.
What was it like, the first time? I'm asking advice for us. What was it like the first time you went on this side instead of being out on the ropes? You do some stuff for the. It was like, wait a minute, man.
You seem like a natural.
I'm not here.
The thing that was really good about it was, and I got to see Gary Williams yesterday. Gary Williams, Charlie Reimer, Lauren Thompson, Carr Robinson. On morning drive, there was a lot of talented people that that was their job, was to be the media, and to be the host. And for me, all they did was literally just they would team me up, and it's not hard to talk about experiences that you've done. What it's like to play the 18th hole, what it's like to make a putt, what it's like, the feelings you have. It's pretty easy, and it's what you guys do is not an easy job because there's a lot of preparation and there's a lot of the right questions you want to ask. But when they would come to me and ask me the certain questions about certain shots that I've hit, I mean, it was pretty much easily teed up. It's you look at some of the guys that have done a great job. I think Kevin Kistner is doing a great job. I think Trevor Immelman does a good job, and the guys that were really good players, high level players that are making the transition. And it's something that maybe even down the road, that's something I might want to even look into, is maybe getting back on the other side of it where I travel and maybe call some golf. But as far as in studio golf, it was fun when I first did it because literally we'd be there an hour and a half before the show, and then right when the show was over, I was done. But it became kind of a job, and as a golfer, your whole life, jobs are no fun. It's you just want to go play golf.
That's why you became a golfer.
Right, exactly.
Don't need a clock to punch 9 to 5. So talk about Florida golf. What's your favorite 3 golf courses in Florida?
In Florida, my favorite 3 golf courses. I think TPC, just because of the history that it has there. Sawgrass is great. I always loved Doral. I always thought that was a great golf course. Copperhead. I mean, one of the you look at last week, and I mean, 2 over par made the cut. 9 or 10 under par wins the golf tournament. I mean, that's crazy. That of course, at 6,800 yards in this day and age, can still hold up to the greatest players in the world and take them to their knees. So that course, I've always loved Innisbrook. There's some, Old Memorial in Tampa is a great golf course. I get to go down there and play there a lot. Avila is another great golf course, a hidden kind of gem in Tampa also. My son lives there, so I get to play a lot of golf in Tampa and get to play those golf courses. I mean, obviously Lake Nona is a great golf course, host an event. But, golf courses in Florida, they're different. It's all depends on the time of year. Like this time of year when it's still a little chilly out and, the greens can get really good. Like the course we're playing here, Broken Sound, the greens are absolutely perfect, rolling about 11 or 12 and flawless. So anytime for me, I always say whenever you can get any course in Florida where you can get the greens at 11 and they're rolling really good, that's one of my favorite golf courses because you don't get to see that too much.
Excellent. What you got? You have anything else?
No.
I did want to ask, and I always ask because it's Florida golf experience, and I always try to talk because I'm a weekend warrior myself, and I get to play with Christian once in a while and learn some things. But what would be one of your tips for amateurs out there trying to improve their game? Maybe take it from a 90 to an 85.
Well, I always tell people whenever I play with amateurs, whether it's a pro-am or what, I always see them, and they get there 20 minutes before their tee time, and they go to the range for 19 minutes of their tee time. I would tell them, or before their tee time, I would tell them, go warm up 10 balls, and then go to the putting green and, hit some chips and hit some putts and get the green speed. Because, 50%, 60% of the game is going to be on the greens that day. And you see a lot of amateur golfers who don't get to go and practice much before the round. They don't ever go to the putting green and see what the green speeds are. They just go out and play, and they go to the range and, they got 20 minutes, so they're hitting balls up until a minute before their tee time. So I would say go to the putting green, go to the chipping green, get some different shots, just get a feel for what the greens are going to be.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I know a lot of the people that I work with. It's like they can't chip and they can't putt, but they never.
And they don't ever practice.
So like, how are you ever going to get any good at it if you don't do it?
Yeah, well, I'm not good at it, so why do I want to practice it? Well, you're not going to get any good at it unless you practice it. So that's
Right.
Go out there here 40 drives off the driver, and then you don't know anything, and just going on with the greens.
Exactly.
Well, I appreciate your time. I really do, and I know you got a busy week going on, and we're starting this channel, and really look forward to seeing you play this week. So we'll keep an eye out for you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Anytime, give me a call. Let me know. I'd love to come back.
I will.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you so much for your time.
You got it.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
So that was a good experience of speaking with Chris DiMarco. I thought it was really great, man. He has some good information. So what were some of the key points you brought away from it, Christian?
Well, he was always a likable guy, and he talked. We talked a little bit about his charity. We talked a little bit about the Masters and some of the other things, the President's Cup and stuff. And he just, he's always been a likable, approachable guy, and I think that was pretty cool.
I missed the opportunity to talk about the claw grip.
Yeah.
But it was so great. He invited us to give him a call anytime. We're looking forward to seeing him in the Champions Tournament this weekend, the week before the Masters. And I got to tell us like how he's going to go down to the Masters. His son's playing in a tournament very close to that, right. So he's excited about that. So he's got a lot going on.
Well, and he, as far as I'm concerned, he might be the original claw grip guy.
Yeah, I think that's what I'd read.
For those amateurs out there that struggle in putting or something, you really, really should try the claw. I use the claw when I'm putting with a traditional link putter. Sometimes I use the broomstick, the tall putter, but it just takes the right hand out of it, gives you a little more confidence. And putting is all confidence. But yeah, he was the original guy.
Another thing I took out of that meeting is what you've always told me. We talk about all the time. I see you on most Sundays. How important around the green is. So many people get out there and you step up and you see a guy drive it out there 260 and you feel like you got to swing hard, but all the money is made, within 100 yards.
It absolutely is. And we're going to talk to a variety of guys like Chris and Mark Calcavecchia. And, if we ask the same question to every one of them,
right.
What should amateurs work on a little bit more? They all say the same thing.
Yeah.
Work on your short game a little bit more. Learn how to chip, pitch, and putt.
How to read the greens.
You're going to miss greens as an amateur player or even a low handicap amateur player. Not going to hit, 15, 16 greens when you play.
Right.
You need to be able to manage the 30, 40, 50-yard shot. And that's how you're going to take your handicap from a 20 to a 50.
Yeah. I always joke that I'm a weekend warrior. So if you think I'm only playing once a week, how much you're getting in. And what was interesting that Chris said about how most people just get to there 19 minutes or 20 minutes before they go to the driving range, hit a bucket of balls, and they've never seen the green. They've never seen what's going on around the green. Right. They haven't even picked the wedge up to chip. And then you go out there and you skull one across the green.
Exactly. Or you three jack the first 3 or 4 holes because you have no idea what the green speed is for the day. In most places you play, the green speed is going to be the same as it is on the putting green. They're using the same reels.
Right.
So at least go hit a handful of putts to get an idea for your feel.
Yeah, and I love that about the course that you work at is they have one just for chipping and one just for putting. So
in our place at Tatum Ridge Golf Links it's right next to the first tee.
Yeah.
So how can you
There's no excuse.
How can you not step on there for a second and hit a couple of putts? I mean, you're waiting on the group in front of you to tee off most likely anyway. Right. So take advantage of that time. Quit BSing with your buddies. You'll actually beat your buddy's ass if you go up there and hit a few putts.
I've taken what you had said to heart, and it hit me a couple weeks ago. The putting is 2 putt every hole is half your game. So I started slowing down and paying attention to putting and chipping, and then I literally saved like 7 strokes off my game in one round. And one round just thinking differently. And then but you know what I did? I only had 1 3-putt all day.
There you go.
1 3-putt all day because our mindset was different. So
like everybody's going to have a 3-putt now and again.
Yeah.
But if you can offset it with a 1-putt, Got to try to match up a 3-putt with a 1-putt,
Yep.
so it balances out. If you can have 2 putts or less per hole, most players are probably averaging, realistically, if they putt it out, 42 or 3 putts per 18 holes.
Yeah.
Get that down to 34 or 35. Well, even if you saved 5 shots a round,
Right.
10 rounds later, it's 50 shots.
Yeah.
So there was an interesting stat on the PGA Tour. I read it's probably a few years ago. The difference between 110th on the money list and 10th on the money list was 1 putt per round.
Wow.
So if you think about that, it's 4 shots a week. 20 weeks later, it's 80 shots. You beat me by 80 shots, or I beat you by 80 shots.
For the year.
I got a job next year. You're
fighting for your car.
You're going to the Q school. 1 putt, man. It makes sense to work on it.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, well, thank you for joining us here at the Florida Golf Experience. Christian and myself, we're going to keep working on trying to get more professionals and industry experts. I know that you have some industry experts as a professional golfer yourself, so I hope we can get some of the Callaway guys and some of the other guys out there.
Absolutely. We're gonna keep squeezing the lemon until we get a little more lemonade and get some, quality people in here and ask them hopefully some pertinent questions that are going to make the game better for everybody in our area.
Yeah. Oh, our last one I got for you is your Masters prediction.
Ooh, man,
It's coming up in next week.
Right now, I got to go with Scotty because he's trending in the right direction.
The comeback he had last week.
He loves it there, but I mean, it would be really, really good for the game to see Rory win it.
Yeah.
Or to see him.
That's his only Masters. That's going to complete the 4, right?
That would complete the Grand Slam for him. So, if Rory's in the hunt come Sunday afternoon, it'd be hard not to root for him because there's only 5 guys that have won the career Grand Slam.
Yeah.
So
be nice to see.
And my dark horse pick this week is going to be JT.
I was getting ready to ask you, JT. He had a great couple weeks. He had a great Valspar, didn't he?
He's put some really low rounds together. If he can just not have that one hiccup one of the days, he's going to be in the middle of this one too.
Yeah, I love it. I'm really looking forward to it. So, well, between that and now that we have a friend with Chris DiMarco, we're going to kind of watch him on the Champions Tour this week, see how he does.
Yeah, we'll be pulling for Chris this week, and we do appreciate him coming out today.
It's good. All right. Thanks for joining us here at the Florida Golf Experience. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.